Hey everyone, welcome back to another discussion video with Dylan. And while we're setting out to record some footage and opinions about Kate Bishop, which I think will actually go up before our discussion and opinions about Miles Morales. I don't know how we're going to do this, but either way, you guys all said you'd enjoy some quick discussions with Dylan, our editor here at the Comicstorian Gaming channel, about various superhero video games, since the two of us literally play all of them. I even play the app games, but I think that's another discussion for another day. Today, I wanted to talk about Miles Morales. I just finished it up 2 days ago now? Yeah, Wednesday, because we had to do all the podcasting stuff on Thursday. I just finished up the games, and I think you and I have a differing opinion about it, Dylan.
I guess when you said you had a different opinion, and I asked why, and you were like, "No, record." So I don't know
exactly.
what it is
I said,
yet.
let's record. Let's record about it, right? So, based on your tweet, you said you didn't like the story too much. You found it very predictable, right?
Yeah, I thought like, and you kind of expressed that in the one tweet that I saw from yours too, is that it is predictable, and I don't think it's just predictable from like a comic book story, like a comic book fan perspective. It definitely is from that perspective, but I think my main problem with it was just that in terms of the predictability, they telegraph the, like, I guess, reveals and twists like really easily, and I won't spoil any of them, but like there aren't really any surprises.
Let's clarify that right now. Overall opinion before we go, and we'll do it in a spoiler area. Overall opinion, I enjoyed the game. If you enjoyed the original Spider-Man, you're gonna love this one, I think.
Yeah.
What's your overall, no spoiler, hot take?
Yeah, I liked it. I think it is. I'm very glad it is not a full price game. Because it's not one. it's
a lot of reused assets.
Yeah, and it's an expansion of the original game, like a gap bridger for, well, while we wait for the next big one, which at this point I imagine you're going to be able to play as both Peter and Miles. I'd find it strange if they just throw that away and have Miles as part of the story, but you can't play as him.
I don't think they're going to. I think Miles is just going to be a part of the story, just like Peter's a part of the story here. Because, in my opinion, why would they get rid of the ability to make a fully fleshed out game and then have Miles retread the same area and get his own games on the side?
Well, I think the reason why I think, because Peter, this isn't really a spoiler because it happens at the beginning of the game. Peter's gone in this game, so like they came up with a story reason, which they could very easily do again for the next like Peter game, but I feel like at this point, like, this game was supposed to get Miles up to the point where Peter was at, or not like close enough to that to where you could play as both of them, because you play as Miles in the original PS4 Spider-Man game as well. He's just he's not Spider-Man yet. But now he is. So I feel like it would be kind of a missed opportunity not to just put him in there, especially since I imagine it's still going to be the same engine and a lot of the same assets, just without the tether of last gen, because I'm guessing the next game's going to be, current gen only now, but that's a different topic.
Yeah, I assume that this is the end of PS4 Miles and Spider-Man games.
I would hope so, personally.
But overall, gameplay-wise, there's not much really to review or discuss about it because it's pretty much just Spider-Man.
Yeah.
It does feel a little different, as in, like, he doesn't fully understand how to do a lot of his powers or his moves. So you take hits harder, in my opinion. The way he flows feels like he has less knowledge how to do things. And then they throw in the Venom attacks, I think, to compensate for the fact that, in my opinion, you take more damage on, because I played on normal mode. I didn't go hard. I didn't go easy. You take more damage and you do less damage. So they compensate you by giving you that Venom ability, which I wish they just renamed it, because calling it Venom ability with so much Venom stuff going on is just kind of confusing. Because even my wife was like, Venom ability, is that like the Venom from the movie? And I'm like, no, that's
See what you mean.
That's a symbiote. And
Spider stuff is all very confusing when things start just being named from spider things, but at different times. I blame Bendis, he called it that. But I sort of agree. I played on the hardest difficulty just because those games have always been like supremely easy for me, and I get bored really easily.
I did find it easy, but I will admit there were moments where I was like, I'm still on normal. Like the Prowler fight was like
really?
it felt very off scaling wise. Like on normal, I was doing fine. I fight Prowler, and he gets like those auto attacks, and they're doing like over half my health.
Yeah.
Like, what is going on?
Yeah, that's fair. That's what I want out of these games. I want to be able to like not take more than a couple hits, because when you really get into a flow state, and I feel like the flow state in this game, I kind of like better than Peter's combat, because the venom attacks really do like let you just like launch people into the air, like run around the map when you have all of them. You can launch off of other people and like smash them into the ground and stuff, and it feels really good. Whereas like Peter was kind of more focused on gadgets and planning, which I think is cool, like lore wise too, just to like differentiate them. And like, you know, Miles has like 4 gadgets, and they're really not very sciencey. But Peter has
the hollow one was a bit weird.
Yeah, but
Like,
Peter gave him
Miles
that one. Which I found that to be strange, because that is a story thing that's not, again, it's not like a massive plot spoiler, but they make Miles into a scientist in this game to a degree. He's more of like an engineer than Peter is like a biochemist, but
yeah, I did notice that, because they're like, oh yeah, he's at the science fair, and he's doing all these sciencey things, and then they do some of these we already said we're gonna do spoilers. They do some of those flashback sequences where he's with Finn, and they're like, oh yeah, so we're just gonna steal the solar battery, this thing, that thing, and we can totally create this entire device on the fly. And I'm like, I don't remember Miles being
he's
this
not.
intelligent.
And that was one of the things I liked about Miles, is that like he's obviously very smart, but he's not the tech guy. And I liked because you know, Bendis didn't really develop any extra parts of his personality. The Into the Spider-Verse movie is really what gave him that music angle, and they have that in this game too. And I liked that as like, you know, Peter has science, Miles has music. But now Miles has music and science in this game. And I was like, that's like, Peter already has that. We don't need that again. You can tell those stories.
Oh, and by the way, he also has venom abilities, and he can go invisible. So he's just the better Spider-Man. Like,
I mean, he is. It's that's the thing about, like, you know, Milquetoast Peter Parker was created in the 60s. Like, you're going to have to innovate with a new Spider-Man, so you're going to get the better one. Which I like when writers take that and be like, okay, well, Miles might have like the biological edge on Peter, but Peter is really smart, and he can you know, bridge that gap with more of his, you know, science and tech and stuff. And he's obviously in this universe, he's been doing it longer, so clearly he's seasoned and better at it, just because he's been doing it for like a decade at this point.
So, okay, without turning this into a giant thing, because we get up to a whole, like, hour-long podcast, and for the record, if you guys want these to become hour-longs instead of 20-minute discussions, let us know, because, I mean, apparently, according to our YouTube analytics, you guys really like long videos on this channel.
Yeah, all the D&D stuff, for sure.
Yeah, exactly. So, story-wise, I do agree with you. It was very paint by the numbers. Mm-hmm. The only surprise I had was in the very ending, and it was just how they handled the sacrifice element. Like, because I knew something like that was coming.
Yeah.
The way they did it, I was a little surprised by it. I kind of enjoyed. But overall, you knew it was coming. Nothing was a surprise. We knew Prowler was going to be there. We knew Prowler was going to end up with the bad guys. We knew he was going to get the venom abilities. Those all come from comic book knowledge. Yeah. But I also don't feel like they were hiding it very well in the game itself.
That's
like Prowler showed up, and he's like, yeah, I'm Uncle Aaron, and I did some bad stuff with your dad, and you know, that's what made that they pushed me out of the family. Oh, he's gonna be a bad guy.
Yeah.
You know?
It's like that was my main issue was, like, even if you divorce like the name Phineas and that connection as like a comic book character, like knowing who she's gonna be, she shows up out of the blue. And they talk about how she hasn't been in Miles' life for a long time. Immediately you're like, oh, she's the bad guy. And then she starts talking about like motivations. There's that scene where they're on the roof and they're looking at the science project or whatever. And Miles keeps asking about her brother because they were all friends. And every time she just like cartoonishly looks away from the camera and is like, I don't want to talk about it. It's like, oh, Roxxon killed your brother. You're the Tinkerer. Yeah. You're trying to kill Roxxon now. It's like the first hour of the game. The standard, it's the whole story.
It's like every other like I don't know. I don't want to say, again, almost like every superhero movie. Like, oh, there's Miles. Oh, the new friend is here. Oh, she's a tech whiz. Oh, there's a new gang called the Underground with these weird tech weapons. Oh, like we got on the bridge and she started talking, and they hadn't really dimed it up yet. My wife's watching and she's just like, wait, is that a girl character? I'm like, yeah, Tinkerer's not normally a girl, which means it's probably Finn. She goes, oh yeah, no, I saw that coming.
Yeah.
I'm like,
yeah, absolutely. Like, I mean, I knew she was the Tinkerers from the moment the subtitles came on and it said Finn, and that's a comic book thing, and that's fair. Like that, the reason I knew
I actually didn't catch that.
Yeah.
I didn't catch that at all because I don't know Tinkerer that well.
Sure. I don't know why my brain is just, I have brain rot and I remember all these tiny Spider-Man characters, but it's
yeah, you seriously Phineas Mason, the Tinkerer, who's known from the 1960s, and you're like, oh, Finn, that must be the guy from the 1960s.
Well, I knew from the trailers that, I mean, she looks nothing like the Tinkerer, but I knew like in trailers and stuff they were calling her Tinkerer. So she shows up, her name is Finn. I know the Tinkerer is in the game. She's the Tinkerer. Like,
see, I took a different approach to it. I avoided every trailer and every reveal because normally if a game is coming out and I know for a fact, no matter how good or bad it's going to do, Marvel's Avengers, for example, I'm going to play it. I don't watch the reveals.
I agree.
Because I want to be entirely surprised. So I watched nothing about Miles other than that one gameplay segment they did where they showcased Venom moves.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I'm the same way. I made a 20-minute video on why I hate trailers and why I think they're bad for the experience. But like I have like the Loki trailer dropped today and I'm not going to watch it at all because I'm going to watch that show.
I accidentally watched all of those because I someone recommended the investor meeting, and I'm like, oh, an investor thing. Let's just see what the new slate is. Oh, they're all in there.
That's what I was about to say. Is like the only reason why I watched the Miles trailers is because I watched like all of the like E3 and like game collection places, and it's unavoidable. Like in the past when I've gone to the theaters before the world ended, I would close my eyes and plug my ears on trailers that I didn't want to watch. I just feel like a crazy person.
Why wouldn't you just walk out during the trailers? Why would you say?
Because I wish. Okay, theaters. If you're ever gonna open up again, which I hope you don't. But
wow, we can have that discussion later.
If you do, look, I don't want to leave my house. If you do open up again, please start including a time for when the movie actually starts and when the trailers start, because I would love to just show up for when the movie starts, so I don't have to watch any of the trailers. I don't.
Yes.
Like, I get it. That's your advertising engine, but movies are better if you don't watch their trailers.
I mean, I'm known for not staying on topic ever, and I'm just going to throw it out there real quick. I kind of wish we stay in the current state that Warner Brothers is doing, where movie theaters are a thing, but so is the house.
Yeah,
so that if a movie doesn't look that incredible, I can watch it at the house. But if it's like some big thing like Endgame, I can be like, yo, let's get everyone together. This is going to be like a fun group thing. We're all going to go catch the movie. Or if I want to take my wife to a date night, it's a lot better to, go out to do dinner and a movie as opposed to being like, let's sit on the couch and order takeout. That is a great date night as well, but I would like to have the more fancier date night.
To clarify my sweeping statement of I hope theaters don't open, I was mostly joking. I mostly just meant I hope more studios adopt the home release approach as well.
Do you not understand our audience? They take everything for face value that we say. Everything.
Yeah, I gotta be careful. Well, Miles Morales.
Yeah, let's go back to Miles Morales. Anyway, but I actually liked this game's story better than Spider-Man's. And that was what I tweeted about. And the reason is, Spider-Man's I also felt was very, I know what's going to happen. I do know. Okay, that's Dr. Octavius. He's obviously going to become a villain at some point. Let's put all the villains on the raft. Obviously, they're all going to break out in this game or the sequel. You know what I mean? Like, you're setting up things way too well for it to not go wrong. Just like the Martin Lee thing. Like, oh, there's Mr. Negative and Martin Lee, and one happens to be a good philanthropist, but whatever. I can't even say that word apparently. But you know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, your same complaint with Miles I had with Spider-Man, and maybe because I did know the comic lore a lot better. But I also felt that Insomniac... Oh, let me finish my thought.
Sorry, I thought you were done. I'm sorry.
I know we interrupt each other, but this is the closing point. This is the closing point.
Sorry.
This is right here. Okay. I also think that because they expected us to know who Spider-Man, who Mary Jane, who Aunt May, and who Dr. Octavius were, they spent very little time on the character development outside of Peter himself. While Miles spent time in developing everyone a lot better. And in my opinion, the only character that got the shaft is Genki. because he just kind of showed up and told them what to do.
Yeah, true. Yeah, I kind of agree. I think with the main difference between like the original Spider-Man story being predictable and this one is that in the original, I don't think they were trying to hide anything. Like, and I think that's because all of the characters they used in that are so well known that they're like, you know, we don't need to hide that Otto Octavius is Dr. Octopus. Everybody knows that already, but not as many people know who Phineas Mason is. They don't know who the Tinkerer is, and that's like they were clearly trying to hide it, but just didn't do like a good job because they treated it as a reveal. And sometimes reveals like that can be done just for the character that it's being revealed to, where it's like dramatic irony, but it didn't seem like that's how it was being written. Which maybe it was, and it just didn't land as well as it did in the original game. Because they also I need to play the original game again. I'm gonna play the remaster at some point. But from what I remember, I don't think there was there wasn't any like masked villainy of Doc Ock. It was just like a slow burn of him like becoming evil, but he was never like, I'm robbing banks as like a secret identity. I think there was like
at the very ending, but I agree with you on that. The slow burn, then he became evil, and before he could really do something crazy, because I think that was his first plan actually, blow up like the whole city. Yeah. Peter stops him and jails him up, you know, which I do think makes it more, which part of the reason why I think Dr. Octavius hits so hard, because for all the game, you just knew him as a good guy, basically. Seeing him like going down this path. And then at the ending, he didn't really do enough evil stuff for me to be like, no, I'm going to take you out. It was more like, no, you're my mentor.
Right. And I think that's that villain dynamic, like the direct, like, you know, Peter, Otto, Miles, Finn dynamic. It's much better in the first game, just because there's an arc to Otto's character, and there is an arc to Finn's, but like she starts as like a mustache twirly villain, and they try to fix it with like backstory, but she's still like kind of sketchy in the backstory already.
Even when she shows up, that's my only real the only problem I had is it's almost like they knew you were going to be able to call it pretty early on, so they were just like, here's Finn, give backstory.
Yeah, maybe.
Like my biggest complaint about the game was the actual ending sequence, because it's momentum, we're going to stop Finn, and we get to the science center and it's like, pause, flashback, you need to know why this is important.
Yeah.
Shouldn't this have been like mid-game?
Yeah.
Like, why is this now? I'm all hyped up for this fight, and now we're going to do a walking puzzle sequence.
It's a long sequence.
And a Peter Parker cameo.
Yeah. Like, that was great though. I loved that.
It was good, but at the same time, like Natalie was sitting there, and we're trying to beat the game, and it's literally the mission's called Battle for Harlem. I'm like, all right, we're gonna finish this. It's gonna be great. And I get inside, and it's like, oh, this is why it's important. I'm like, oh, what the hell?
Fair. Yeah, I thought I will say, talking about the just Finn's plan overall, I thought that was the best part of the story, was that she wasn't like really trying to go for world domination or really to kill anyone. She just wanted to basically bankrupt Roxxon. And I thought the angle that, Charisma McGee, head of Roxxon, whatever, that's not Dario Agger, which I was upset about. Give me the Minotaur.
I was so upset. I wanted like a hint at Minotaur as a sequel or something.
That would have been great. There's a shipping crate that says Minotaur on it. That's all that I was able to find.
That's all we get?
I think so. But I liked that she wasn't I liked that she was basically just trying to bankrupt Roxxon, and that he was the head of, I don't remember his name, but the head of Roxxon in this game was, and it was kind of underdeveloped, but there's a point in like when you're fighting Finn towards the end of the game where he's in the background like taunting Finn and Miles, being like, do you realize that if you blow up this facility, it's going to do literally nothing? It's not going to hurt our stock at all. In fact, it might improve it because we can spin it into something good for us. And that was just like a background line that I was like, ooh, that's cool. Dive more into that, because that sucks. And that really, like, if
like, you can't do any, I mean, that's the whole plot of Immortal Hulk versus Roxxon for the longest time.
Yeah.
Was that no matter what he did, we're going to spin it.
Yeah, exactly. And that's like a cool angle that I feel like should have been delved into deeper, just because I think that would have made Finn more sympathetic if she realized that she was just on a pointless vendetta, and Miles could turn around and be like, look, these are the real villains, but blowing up this facility is going to do nothing but probably raise the taxes for all of New York citizens for a while. Like, this is not going to help anyone.
I mean, but overall, what do you like? Is your opinions on the game good? Do you like it? Do you want to keep playing it? I'm actually going to go back and like I started doing that side quest with Kingpin. We've already said we're going to do spoilers. I will say I was really hoping it wasn't Kingpin.
Yeah,
I was really. They even hinted at like, oh, what if it's this guy, this guy, this guy? I'm like, all of those would be cool. And then Kingpin's on the screen. I'm like, oh.
Yeah, that was exactly my reaction too. I was like, it's probably going to be someone from the first game, but I hope it isn't. I hope it's somebody like wacky. I don't remember who I thought. That mission up until it was revealed to be Kingpin was fun. I liked the pacing of it and trying to figure out who it was. Yeah. I thought it was Tombstone at one point maybe. But
I assumed it was a callback. I'm not crazy. I assumed it was going to be a callback villain, and it was more fleshed out than I thought.
It was a fun side story, for sure.
I wish there was more to the what's his name? Bodega Cat mission.
Spider-Man the cat.
And then he's Spider-Man the cat. He's just a cat. He's with you. It's cool. Don't worry about it.
Yeah. Overall, my thoughts on the game. I like it. I do think my opinions on it would probably be more sour if it was full price, especially if it was like new full price of $70 US. But it's 50 or 40, I think. I think it's 50 if you don't get like the remastered bundled with it. And that's great. Like, it's a fun little experience that improves on the original game graphically and sometimes mechanically. The game is beautiful, by the way, especially on PS5. They just introduced in an update. I was trying this last night because a friend wanted to try my PS5, and I noticed this. They added a third, like visual mode, because they had fidelity, which was 4K 30 with ray tracing. They had performance, which was 1080 60, but with no ray tracing. But now they have a performance mode that's 1080 60 with ray tracing. And that, like, I don't
even know there was different modes, in all honesty. I just play whatever the default one is.
I think the default is fidelity, which is the 4K 30 mode. And that's what I played on, too.
Okay.
Just
I mean, it looks gorgeous to me, and I didn't see any
I wanted to play it with ray tracing because I don't have an RTX graphics card, so that was my first time experiencing ray tracing. It was great. But, yeah, that new mode, I tried it with the performance mode with ray tracing. That game at 60 feels great. And with the ray tracing, it's a lower version of the ray tracing, I think. Also, I think the original performance mode might be 1440p at 60. Don't quote me on that. I don't know. But the point is, there's a...
You know more about the specs than I do.
There's a mode that runs at a locked 60 frames per second with ray tracing, and you can play that on a console, and that's crazy. And it looks great. So yeah, this game is I think there's a lot of good that it does. It gets me very excited for the next, like, full-fledged, like, actual Spider-Man 2, whatever they're going to call it. Especially the end credits teases, just fully, like, furthering around the post-credits tease of the last game.
Right.
I'm excited for the future.
I do think Spider-Man 2 needs to just be Peter Parker. What I would like, here's what I was thinking when they're going through it. Because, I mean, why wouldn't Sony want to continue to bank money on every Spider-Man title that comes out? Spider-Man is used as a platform to introduce new characters from the Spider-Verse. So Miles, let's say, goes on a trip to California or, Seattle. Like, you can't do Europe. That's what Peter did. You got to go somewhere else.
Yeah.
But Miles goes to a different area. Or the next game is Peter in Europe. We see what he was doing because, of course, a Spider-Man adventure kicked off, right?
Yeah, he said something about Silver Sable over there when he was talking on the phone, so I'm sure something happened.
And that's but basically you leave New York, because I was thinking about that too. Like, the sequel can't do New York again. We're just gonna keep reusing New York. You're eventually gonna be like, and there's where Bodega Cat is. But what if the sequel is Spider-Man over there, and while he's over there, we get introduced to another character from Spider-Verse lore. Spider-Gwen gets introduced, or Spider-Man Noir gets introduced, or something legitimate like Miles, and then we get another spin-off game to follow that character. Because with Spider-Gwen, or Ghost Spider as she goes now, getting as popular as she is, I was like, wouldn't it be awesome if the European adventure did involve like multiversal portals to an extent?
Yeah.
And we drop Ghost Spider into the universe. And now we get her adventure or something along those lines. as a way, because this is Sony. I mean, literally, they made a cartoon called Into the Spider-Verse, and it did so well that Spider-Man 3 now is just Into the Spider-Verse.
Yeah, apparently. Yeah, I mean, I trust Insomniac. I trust whatever they're gonna do. I don't think anything at this point in this universe would like be like, you know, like it would feel weird because like technically, this Spider-Man has participated in multiversal events because he was in Spider-Verse.
That's true.
So, nothing would really surprise me at this point. I wouldn't want them to jump into the multiverse too soon, especially because that is seemingly where MCU Phase 4 is going. And obviously it's
well, what if he doesn't leave?
Time.
What if the multiverse thing
comes
is just
to him?
Ghost Spider arrives?
I think it's the same. It's the same, you know, plot structure because everyone came to Miles and Into the Spider-Verse, and that still felt like a multiversal movie. Like I don't want to be burnt out on the concept of like multiversal Spider-Man, especially because like something that I think Insomniac has been really good at is developing these characters like just by themselves and showing them from you know their own first-person view.
All right.
So I think
I can see that point of view.
Yeah, like I Insomniac will probably make it work no matter what. Like I'm sure if a multiversal character shows up, it's probably going to be an order like from Sony or from Marvel or whoever to put them in the game. But I trust that Insomniac would be able to spin it in some way because they've clearly demonstrated that they like Spider-Man, they like the character and have a great respect for it. So, you know, I'm down.
Yeah. And I'm a fan of their retelling of the lore because
Yeah.
like I said, the original game came out, I feel like it fixes the
Absolutely.
lore. Because it's a linear storyline as to what's going on with the lore as opposed to the mess that is the Spider-Verse.
Yeah, it's such a simple fix too. Just like there was another spider. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, that's it. All right, guys, thank you so much for watching this today. This is probably going to be a little bit longer. I don't know if you're going to cut it down, what you're going to do with it, but overall, I hope you did say you wanted more discussions from me and Dylan about various video games, and while it's not a reoccurring every Friday podcast, if we have a topic, just like we do with Absolute Comics, our comic book podcast, we talk about it, and I thought that'd be fun to talk about Miles as I just finished it, and I had a lot to say about it, as you can see from this video. I hope you guys enjoyed. I don't know if we put up trailers and stuff. There might be too much. You might have to figure something out. I don't know. That's up for Dylan to figure out. Go, editor. This is why you get paid. Thank you, guys. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and let us know in comments down below what other things you'd like us to discuss that maybe would make a great video like this or other games you want us to play. Let's go film that Avengers thing.